welcome to the Bible for worship at St. Paul Lutheran Church on this fifth Sunday after Pentecost, when our gospel passage is written in the Gospel according to Matthew chapter 10, verses 40 through 42. Jesus said, "Whoever welcomes you welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive the reward of the righteous. And whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose their reward." The Gospel of the Lord. Thanks be to God. This is Jesus speaking to the disciples. It is the very end of a long speech that Jesus has made. Matthew shows that to us in all of chapter 10 of Matthew's Gospel. And it's the second long speech of Matthew's Gospel. The first one is the Sermon on the Mount in chapters 5 through 7. And there are three more long speeches in Matthew's Gospel. Matthew liked to show Jesus' teaching in these large blocks that, as far as we can tell, Matthew drew together from the whole collection of material that had been recalled from Jesus' teaching during his lifetime, and indeed that the church understood Jesus still to be teaching in their own day. And this particular long speech in chapter 10 starts out with Jesus commissioning the 12 disciples, sending them out into the community in order to heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, outcasts, to make them part of the community again. That's the marginalized in our contemporary language. And cast out demons. Heal, raise, cleanse, and cast out. This is what Jesus has sent the disciples to do, or is sending them to do with this long speech. And he's very clear that there is danger in this. Verses 14 and 16 through 23 speak of the danger that these people won't be received, or that there are others in the community who might attack them or even have them arrested. He makes it clear further toward the end of the speech, as Matthew has presented it to us, verses 34 to 36. He's very clear that the preaching of his name will bring division within communities, even within families. And these dynamics of the danger that people might face in proclaiming Jesus to the community, and the division that it might bring even within the community, these seem very clearly to reflect the experience of Matthew's community. So this speech, in a sense, begins to reassure them about this difficult situation they find themselves in, being rejected, in danger, and divided from family members and others. It's as though Jesus knew that this was going to happen, because Matthew's community is 2 generations already after Jesus' death and resurrection. But Matthew tells the story of Jesus to say, don't be afraid of what's happening. Jesus knows and knew that this is what you would face. And so the reassurance goes on. And here at the end of the speech, and these are the last 3 verses of this speech in chapter 10, at its very end, the speech turns to address those whom we would call allies, those who receive you as disciples, as those who bring my name to them. They receive me, Jesus, and they indeed are receiving the one who sent me, the one that Jesus calls his Father. So those who receive you receive Jesus and the Father. And then he goes on and says, those who receive a prophet, because that person is a prophet, actually receives a prophet's reward. Or whoever receives a righteous person, because they are righteous for no other reason than simply recognizing, here is a prophet, here is a righteous person. I will receive them. I will give them hospitality. I will be an ally to them. Those allies receive the same reward as the persons who are actually doing the prophesying and actually living the righteous life. This idea of allyship comes through very clearly in the language that says, because they are a prophet. It literally means in the name of a prophet. And that's how the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition actually translates it. Others will say, because they are a prophet. But this notion of identifying with the name of the individual, you're going to tag them as a prophet and maybe persecute them for that. I'm also a prophet. I receive and welcome them and offer them my hospitality. I identify with that name of prophet and am an ally to those who are God's prophets. And Matthew's reassurance in these words of Jesus is, and you will receive a prophet's reward because of that allyship. It's not even a big ask. It's just being as, identifying with, taking on the name of, being an ally. And so it is that in the final verse, Jesus says, whoever gives one of these little ones, and by that Jesus is talking about disciples, whoever gives one of these little ones even a cup of cold water, because they are my disciple, no one who does that will lose their reward. It starts out with the notion that we're in this together with Jesus and with God. And it ends with the recognition that what Jesus and God promise to those who might be seen as saints, as leaders in the community, as prophets, and as righteous people, when we identify with those and are allies with them, then what they receive from Jesus and God is the same thing that we can be reassured we will receive. God bless.